Hey guys, it's Mo, and I know it's been a while after I said I was going to get on a better schedule, but as stated in the title, the whole summer of 2019 has been a Tales from the Jumpseat experience. Like, I wish I can throw the whole summer of 2019 away. Like, I'm coming to you guys fresh out of the bed, like teeth brushed, no makeup, nothing on, just rolled out of bed, put on my workout clothes, but I'm so exhausted that I think I'm just gonna do my squats and stuff in my room. Um, this summer has been great in some senses with some of the trips I've gotten, and the new places I've been, but hellacious in other terms. Like, all you need to know is I am so over summer 2019. Like, between rude ass people, unprofessional ass coworkers, like crusty scheduling, like, I'm just over it. So we're just gonna start at the beginning of summer, which is considered June. June was fine. I did my first international out of Dallas in June. So I thought summer was gonna be cool. Thought summer was gonna be great. Did my first international out of June in June, which was Lima. I got thrown into a position I did not know, and nobody wanted to change, so that's okay because I learned the position. Um, they were cool. They helped me. I had a great crew. Um, so Peru was fine. July was my reserve month. I worked 90 something hours in July. Y'all know I'm trying to work 2 minutes and still be paid for 75 hours. I worked 90 hours in July. I went to Maui, saw the Maui vlog. That went well. Um, I was called for an ODAN that technically I wasn't supposed to be called for. Somebody actually tried to TTS in it and didn't get it, so they tried to pull me off at the last minute. But since they had already assigned me for it, that is nasty and dirty. Um, they were gonna have to just pay us both. So that was when I noticed scheduling was gonna be just interesting. Um, I went to London. Y'all saw the London vlog. I wanted my Kindle. See, you can travel with my Kindle. On my Kindle. That was a good trip in a sense of that. But R4, which is our galley for business, did not know how to do it, for one, and then did not say anything whenever she messed up stuff, for two. We didn't notice it until we would get out in the aisle with our actual customers. Got a patch, like, all my hair is just sitting right there. Sorry, y'all know I get distracted. So that was just one of the most frustrating things ever. If something's messed up or if something's not right, do not have me go out there looking for someone's meal and it's not on the cart because you decided that you dropped it and didn't say anything. Didn't say anything to anyone. And then when we were like, hey, we're missing 2 chicken, and she was like, oh, yeah, I dropped 4 of them. You would think you would let somebody know that we are completely full. Like, what are we supposed to feed them? And she was like, well, I got pasta left. And I was like, it's just frustrating. I was like, so you can go have the conversation since you sent me out there feeling dumb that what this woman ordered and actually pre-ordered, like, she ordered it when she checked in to make sure that it was on the flight so she can have it is not here and why. So you can go do that since you don't want to tell anybody why stuff isn't available. So they end up taking her position from her and putting her in the aisle on the opposite side. And they're like, well, we're going to put, I've done international. I've just, so I'm okay with it. But my thing is, the caliber of service you have to give is just a little bit different. You just carry yourself a little bit different. And then there's just, it's like a little flow. It's literally like a flow chart. You do this, then you do this, then you do this. It's not like you have to make up stuff on the fly. It's a commercial carrier business service. It's in our manual. Like if you're not sure, I always refer back to my manual. And then so they put me on the side with the other slow person, and I couldn't handle it. I was just like, I can't deal with this. So the girl, we made them switch back side. We put her on the side she was supposed to be on. Me and his name is Steven. And we were like, we have our flow down. When we told our person, we were like, we have our flow down. We know our passengers. We already set up our pre-orders. Everything's done. I was like, she's going to have to learn how to do it. You can't just expect both of them. We're gonna, if this is what you want to do, then you're gonna have to learn how to do it. But you need to take the initiative to learn. So me and Steven are back on our side for going back together, and she's in our aisle. Like it's two people for each aisle to handle each aisle. She's in our aisle with our bread basket, with their bread basket, not even our bread basket, the other side's bread basket. So what? Guess what? She runs out of bread for their side, and I'm just like, no, move up. So it's just about, like, if you're unsure, just ask. And then I was like, we're supposed to mirror each other. So if you see us doing something, that's what you need to do. So that way each section is getting their stuff at the same, almost at the same time. You know, some people are going to be faster than the other, but at least you're on the same flow. Like we don't need to be passing out meals while y'all still are doing your beverage service. Like, but if you're not where you're supposed to be, then no, it will not mirror itself like at all. So, um, that happened, and I was good on that for a little bit. And then, what else did I do? I can't even remember where I went. Let me see. I just remember the bad experiences. Like I remember the good, but it's like the ones that stick out for my schedule the most are the ones that were like crusty. But I had a good time in London. Like it was great, but it's just like it's like communication in our job is so important, um especially whenever you are especially whenever you are doing service. So that's just a minor thing that she just needs to learn. Um, I don't even remember doing any domestic. If I did, it wasn't anything that stuck out. Um, so at the end of the month, the vlog will be up when this goes up. I went to Buenos Aires. It was my last one. So going, I had a lot of tells from the jump seats dealing with coworkers. Going, they called me out. They say I'm gonna be purser. I was like, okay, cool. I'm not purser qualified. They're like, we know. We've already called the crew. Nobody wants to be purser. Cool. Get to the plane. Set up my carts. This, that, and other. Oh, I want to be purser. So you waited until the work for purser was done to say something. And she was like, well, I didn't know you weren't purser qualified. I said, they called everybody. And so she's calling scheduling, and scheduling's fussing at her. They're like, we called you 3 hours ago to see if you want to be purser. So she comes up there, and I was like, well, if your duties aren't done for your role, then you need to go do those before you do anything, because I'm not gonna do two positions duties. And she was like, oh, fine. And she stomps off. Then our number two comes. She's late. She's disheveled. We thought she was an actual passenger. So we were like, oh, we can't board yet. And she was like, I'm your two. And she's going through all this stuff. And our captain ended up removing her because he felt like she was unfit to fly. And she was like, well, I don't have money for a hotel. So we all take out our loose cash and give her the money, because I know how that feels. I genuinely know how that feels to not know where you're going to lay your head. And that's a whole different story. If you guys want me to discuss it, I'm open to discuss it. It doesn't bother me anymore, but I know how that feels. So they remove her. We still don't have a two, and our catering person is in the back, just irritated as hell, because you're supposed to get that checked off when you first get there, and it was way past boarding whenever she was still standing there. So she's in the aft galley, which is the back part of the plane, and she's just trying to get everything situated so she can get off the plane before they start boarding. So I popped up. I was like, I'm gonna be number two. You need to call scheduling, since you're already on the phone with scheduling, to be purser. Tell them I will be two, and then the person who comes on to take the original two's place, she can be seven. So that way she'll be already by the door, and she doesn't have to worry about anything. So when you're two or a galley, you have to make sure your meal counts are good, your setups are good, your carts are good, everything. So you set that up during whenever you check in for your trip, you come down, you start setting that up. So nobody had done that. I didn't have the opportunity to do it. The purser comes up and she was like, meals could have went service could have went smoother. And I was like, the service that I wasn't able to set up because I was busy setting up your service. And she was like, oh yeah, no. And then she walked back to the front. I didn't see her the rest of the flight. It was a 8-hour flight, 9-hour flight. Yeah, she didn't come back there anymore. Oh, I saw her during break. Because galleys always take second break. We go back. Buenos Aires was amazing. I had so much fun. I used to live there when I was little. My dad played basketball there. It was fun. I had a good time. We go back, and service is smooth for me because I got everything set up whenever we got there. But my coworker that was in the aisle, because I was in main cabin or coach or whatever you call it, she gets to a passenger. She says beef or pasta, because those are the two options we had. And the lady in perfectly good English says, do you not have anybody who speaks Spanish? And she was like, she said it in Spanish because she asked before we went out in the aisle, what's the Spanish equivalent? And we were like, carne or pasta. And she was like, cool. So she's asked in Spanish. The lady says in perfectly good English, and I can hear her at this point because she's loud. Do you not have a flight attendant that speaks Spanish? So a passenger next to her says it in Spanish, like the full blown sentence. And she was like, no, I want a Spanish speaking flight attendant. And Barbie was like, he's way up there. So you'll have to wait. And she was like, well, fine, pasta. And so she hands her the pasta, and she was like, and you don't have to have a fucking attitude about it. This woman caused a complete scene, and it was bad. And then after that, the seven, who was still on probation, gave Barbie's first and last name, which we weren't supposed to do. We're not supposed to do that. And whenever I went to talk to her, she was like, she's been being rude since the airport and this and the other, blah, blah, blah. And I asked her, I was like, so you were with her in the airport? And she was like, yeah, I saw her in the airport and she was rude to me. And I was like, well, I didn't see you because I was with her. And she was like, Oh, well, I like to write a letter and I want a manager to meet us whenever we get to Dallas and I want her fired in front of me. This one was crazy. And so we get the purser calls the man as the manager meet and they're reading the letter and she's just tearing down Barbie's physical. Like she said nothing about what she did during service, nothing about who she was as a person. She was like with her stupid blonde extensions and her Botox and her when she trying to the 45-year-old trying to be 30 and Barbie was like, well, I feel great because I'm 55. And it was just bad. And I was like, and this is the caliber of people we deal with. And she was like, and I would like enough points to take care of my flight back. And I'm like, we're not giving you that. We're not. One, I did a customer, so we can do reports on customers. So I did a report on the customer because she said she had been watching her since the airport. So that's just enough for me to know that she watches flight attendants in the airport, which is creepy. It's creepy as hell. So after that, I'm just exhausted from reserve. Like I got some good trips, but they had some awful stuff with them. Um, so I go back online in August. Y'all, I worked 100 hours. I worked 100 hours because Dorian wants a gaming laptop for Christmas or a gaming computer, which is really fairly expensive. And well, if you guys haven't seen Dorian in a while, the next time I can sit with him, we'll do a new updated video about Dorian so you guys get to know 11-year-old Dorian instead of 7-year-old Dorian. Um, Dorian is playing the piano now and the guitar still, and he likes to compose music and make beats. So I want to make sure he has the tools to do it with his laptop or computer and then do his gaming and illustration. He's into art now. So I want to give him the best tools possible so he can be successful. So that, and then my 35th birthday trip is coming up. I'm going on a girls' trip. And so I worked a lot. I worked a lot. I worked a lot. So who's messaging me? Target. But I got to switch into another London, but this time I was the four, which is a galley. And so I got to hide. Y'all, when I tell you when I went to London, my friend Daria was making fun of me. She was like, you weren't beat for London. She was like, you got that at the last possible minute. I said, girl, yes. I was like, I got it. I was out eating and because I didn't expect to get it because I already had a trip the next day. I was like, I went to London. I got on that flight looking like who did it in one four. So when they were like, "Do you want to be the four or the business galley?" I jumped on it because I didn't have to be in passengers' faces looking like a zombie. Um, so I worked 100 hours. I went back to London. Uh, that went well in a sense of we didn't have any major hiccups. Um, we did have two women on the cart that our best friend said kind of BS, but I was like, I have no energy and no time to put towards them. I went to Kingston, as nice as it was to be in the pool all day. Kingston's going on my do not fly. Like, it's going on there. It has to. They don't listen. They don't listen. We were in moderate to severe turbulence, bouncing around, and they were still getting up and going to the bathroom. And then it's no language barrier. They understand. It got to a point where the captain, when we were on the ground waiting for our gate, the captain had to threaten to have the authorities meet the plane on top of security and TSA because they were just doing too much. They were up and moving around and walking up and down the aisle and open, and we were still taxiing. So if you don't know this, you're not supposed to be up during taxi takeoff and landing. Preferably anytime the seatbelt sign is on, you're not supposed to be up. But taxi takeoff and landing are the most critical parts of flight because that's when accidents usually happen the most. So if y'all are up tap dancing in the aisle, getting your shit out, and there's an engine fire and we need to evacuate, that messes up the whole flow of things. We're supposed to have you off the plane within 2 minutes at the max. And if you're up with your 4 rollerboards down because you got a hour and 20-minute connection and you feel that's too tight, how am I supposed to get these families, these people off this flight if there's an emergency, if you are doing what you're not supposed to be doing? So yes, Jamaica, as nice as it was, as awesome as the crew was, that flight will go on my do not fly list. Like, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not. Kingston is a no for me. What else did I do? The rest of the month was pretty smooth. It's just I stacks a bunch of 2 days on top of each other. So what I've been doing is working my heavy day the first day and then one leg home the second, which is rather easy because I'm home every other day, so I can get a lot of stuff done. This is Labor Day weekend. It's considered the end of summer, and I'm so over it. Yesterday we did a Cancun turn, and it took us, the flight time was 2 hours and 15 minutes. If you guys want to know what I'm looking at, it's just I'm looking outside, and it's when I'm frustrated and trying to I have to look at something pretty, or something else. So the flight time was 2 hours and 15 minutes. It took us an hour and 45 minutes to do service. We ran out of vodka. We ran out of everything. Just because where you're going is all inclusive does not mean the plane is all inclusive. And you guys, don't be sensitive if a flight attendant cuts you off. It's the fact that if you get into a wreck and then they ask you where's the last time you were served because they felt like you were overserved, and you say, oh, on my flight, a whole airline can lose their liquor license. So that happens. It has happened before in the past. So we can't overserve you at all. And people get sensitive about it. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm not driving. It doesn't matter. I'm not overserving you. I don't want to be held responsible. So that happened coming back. I don't know if you watch me on Snapchat or Instagram, y'all, I think we had a drug mule. Like, I'm so serious. I don't care what she says. I don't care. I'm convinced that she's a drug mule. I swear she probably works for the person who took over Chapo's job. Like, I don't care what anybody says. We're in flight, and she tells us, her and her dad or husband tell us that she's sick and she was supposed to have surgery while she was in Mexico, but she didn't want to do it, and they left. And she has an impaction and this and other. So at this point, she is throwing up, hot, sweating. So those are all signs of an infection, which is also signs of sepsis. My mom had sepsis. She got E. coli from Grand Cayman Islands. She was in the hospital for 10 days and could not leave. So for her to just leave and decide she wants to hop on a plane and put everybody else at risk of like not making it home and stuff like that was just very selfish. I understand how if you don't want to get medical care from Mexico, or you may not have the money because they ask for the money up front, but then we had a nurse on. There's no way flight attendants can take care of you. Luckily, we had a nurse practitioner on the plane to talk to the physician on call who we talked to, and she was like, it sounds like influenza. And she was like, her cough, her hacking cough either sounds like pneumonia or influenza. And she was like, I don't think she's impacted with anything, but if she is, I don't think that has nothing to do with why she's coughing. So we're like, so is she really coughing or is she fake coughing? And she said, I don't know. So at this point, we're looking up the infectious diseases protocol and all that jazz, and it's just frustrating. Like, I have a I worked a 13-hour duty day yesterday, and that was just one of the most frustrating things I've ever dealt with, dealing with a passenger. You knowingly got on the plane sick. You knowingly got on the plane knowing you were ill enough to need some type of medical attention immediately. That is very selfish. I don't care if it was, oh, I don't want to get it there. Then you have the med vac you back. You don't take a commercial airline and go back. So they had to administer a shot to keep her from throwing up. And that was great. In the back, y'all get y'all's kids together. I don't know what it is about these people who are allowing their kids to just cry because they aren't doing what they want to do, or cry because they want attention, or yell and scream and slap and hit everybody moving because they don't want to be in your lap. Like, I don't understand what's going on with that. Like, you are I've never had a child yell for a whole 2 hour flight. I've never had passengers ask me repeatedly, are you sure you don't have headphones? Because I can't take it anymore. I've never had passengers literally go up to the person and be like, give me your baby. I'm going to see if I can calm him down. Like, I've never seen that in life. And that shit happened. And it's just like, my kids know, like, in public, don't act up, and like, let's get it together. I have friends with babies, and I love when people are like, oh, you don't understand, you're not a mom. Yes, I am a mother. My son knows how to get it together. At his age, at the age the child that was acting up, my son was saying please, thank you, and excuse me. Like, and if he acted up, he knew them little thighs or that little butt was gonna be on fire. Like, I don't play the let me yell and scream and cause a scene to get your attention or to get you to give me what I want. That's not how it works. That's not how life works. And I've noticed there's a lot of people who allow that to happen. So kids have the expectation is, if I have an attitude, if I yell, scream, hoop, and holler, then everybody's going to give me what I want. And that's not okay. So we're dealing with that on top of the sick lady. We finally get to Dallas, and I guess the lady realized, that's why I think she was a drug mule. I guess the lady realized, oh, shit's gonna go down. So medical personnel meets her, but the thing is, TSA and police meet you as well. If you don't know and you're trying to get out of going through customs, coming back from somewhere, you're not gonna do it. They met us at the plane, took their passports, met us at the plane. It's gonna happen. You have to clear. Like, and if you don't clear, but even though something's medically wrong with you, they're going to escort you to the hospital. So she's yelling at this point because they have her up on the gurney, and they're just like, I know, I want my family to take me. And they're like, no, ma'am, you said you have this, you said you have this, the nurse thinks it's this, blah blah blah. So we're taking you to the closest hospital to get it handled. I want to go to Frisco's hospital. No, you're going to Grapevine. Like, she caused it for her to be so sick and ill, and for her to cause that type of scene made me think it was something else. Then I had to wait and sit 2 hours, and now I'm in Indy until, luckily, I've been asleep all day. I had to sleep in. I have 2 legs today. I go back to Dallas, and then a lovely juice and water service to Tulsa. And this will be the end of summer. But now you see why my summer of 2019 was a whole Tales from the Jumpseat. Like, this summer was crazy. I'm so ready for fall in a sense of calmness, less full flights, all that stuff. I'm just ready for it. Uh, I'll probably still continue working 90 to 100 hours so I can get this big computer for Dorian. I'm not gonna put it on credit. I'm not gonna go into debt like that. I want to pay for it. And most likely I'll have to work Christmas because now that I'm in Dallas, I may be junior that way, so I may have to work on Christmas. And it's our year to have him. So you guys know he usually goes to spend Christmas with my mom when I can't have him, and she doesn't think the Thunder will have a Christmas game, so she's all for it. So that's what's been going on, and that's why recording has just been hard because I've just been having exhausting trips. Some were great, some were worth the exhaustion, but you guys, whew. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and stay fly.